Do you have a favorite place? I know growing up in high school, we would sneak out somewhere between 10 and 4 in the morning, and we'd drive south and then east out to the end of Broadway, and we'd sit. And yes, maybe we would meander around downtown beforehand, but it was this beautiful space where the road ended and it opened up to a desert. To the left, there was the black silhouette of the mountains and some street signs, which I honestly couldn't tell you what they said because it was so dark out. And it was always a place to go back to. And so, of course, starting college, I went back there when I visited home, and I reconnected with my friend Sam. And she told me about her life, graduating, and where she was at. She told me about this boy she fell in love with. She told me about a relationship she left that was abusive. She told me about drugs, about cocaine, about rehab, about her eating disorder. And it came back to her boyfriend. You see, just the other week, he was driving his car on prescription medication, which again, wasn't his, and he crashed into another car and killed an elderly couple. And so we're sitting there and we're asking ourselves, how do we deal with this? And being raised up as a child, I ask, what would my parents do? What do I know for them? I know my mom would run out at night and sneak away from her family into the forest. And so I'm thinking back to being a little kid running down the hallways of the university, going to pool parties in the backyard. You see, both my parents are legally disabled. My dad has osteosarcoma. It's an above-knee amputation on the right leg, which made the left leg all the more fun in the pool as he would swing it back and forth like an in-the-water seesaw. He would hobble around running after us as kids. I remember in high school being woken up for band with the scuff of his single leg pulling himself across the house to wake us up because, it wasn't worth putting on the artificial one. And then my mother, she is a beautiful intellectual. She has her doctorate. She raised us, bringing us to the university, down in lecture halls with our single cookies, our coloring books. And in high school, she started getting sick. She started losing her voice when she turned to the left. They gave her an inhaler, and as we were growing up, she was growing horizontal. You see, my mom was diagnosed with pulmonary hypertension. That is a lung and heart condition where you need to inject yourself every night with medicine to make sure your lungs and your blood pressure stabilizes. And so in my high school, I saw her spending nights with my dad, pinching her stomach, and around the time I was getting close with Sam, she was teaching me music, I saw my mom in the ICU. And that was the first time that fall. And as you all know, that's terrifying. Seeing them there, people are near death. It is unclean because they cannot go and wipe it up. And so I saw her and I prayed, even though I'm not that religious, and asked, what can we do? She got better because at that point she had a line to her heart, and so every time it got infected, they had to pull it out. And so then we moved forward, and the next month she was back in the ICU, and we were terrified but less startled. And we were like, okay, so this is happening, this is terrifying, I hope she's okay. We pulled out the line, we checked the charts, we went through the checklist, and then she went back a third time. And so, as all of you who know math know, one's a point, two's starting a line, and 3 is a reality. And that's something we came to learn growing up, is what is our realities? Neither of my parents were born disabled. We, as a family, learned what it meant to cope with it, what it meant to visit mom in the hospital, what it meant to have an artificial leg. We cannot go on hikes, but we can go up the back lines of Disneyland. And so, sitting back there, I'm with my friend, and we're at one of our favorite spots, asking ourselves, how do we deal with this moment? How do we deal with the fact that 2 people are dead? That she will never see this man again, a man she loved for every valid reason. He will be a different person. You see, we can't always have answers to moments. Sometimes we need to just, and as we did, turn on the car, wrap up our night, drive away, and start our next day. Because a lot of times we like to see things as a singularity, as a single moment where maybe there's a silver lining. Maybe it's this sad moment, but it's just the end of a road, and that's the magical part about the end, is you can turn around, start the car, and start a new beginning. Thank you.